Welcome to another episode of Worthy of Rescue. In our previous podcast, we've been focusing on rescue and redeemed. Today, I want to speak about a cry for help. Have you questioned whether or not the God of the universe, the Lord over all creation, has heard your cry for help? I want to read a small excerpt out of the book Worthy of Rescue Pursued by God, called A Cry for Help. A night while still in the early writing stages of this book, I got up about 12:45 a.m. to go to the bathroom. It was a cool and quiet night, which was a change from the heat wave we had recently had. I was safely back in my bed reading and trying to fall asleep when all of a sudden I heard faint voices of a man and a woman arguing. I knew it wasn't my neighbors, as I would have heard their voices more clearly. So I strained even more to hear this vocal discussion as it increased in volume. But after the crescendo, it had died down, so I kept reading. All of a sudden, it started back up, and when it continued and the volume reached a fevered pitch, louder and louder, I once more got up to investigate. I scanned the backyard, the front yard, the side of the house, but I couldn't see a thing. I was looking for movement, shadows, lights, or voices, anything to tell me where this dispute was coming from. But once again, the voices just ceased. I proceeded back to my bed and once again was getting comfortable and began reading. Again, I heard a woman scream. Her loud sobbing cries for help echoed throughout the neighborhood. If you have ever heard this wail, outside of what you watch on TV or see in video games, it will make the hairs on your arms stand up straight and cause your ears to open wide. I again went to the windows and could not make out any shapes outside. The only other sound I did hear was my neighbor's dog barking. But their house was in a different direction from where the noise was coming from. All of a sudden, I heard sirens in the distance getting louder and louder. I saw the red lights racing up the streets and stopping at the end of the block. Someone had heard the desperate cries of this woman and called the police. Rescue had come. I never heard her story on the news, just a brief notice on the police blotter recounting the struggle of a woman in need of rescue from abuse that night. Do you feel like this woman, crying out to the Lord in your brokenness? You may have lost a job, you may have lost a child, you may have lost a relationship. You may be broken from drug abuse or addictions. You may be broken from abuse inflicted upon you from another person, but God does hear. The Bible says the poor cry out and the Lord hears them. So let's look at Psalm 34. David penned this to the Lord. He had much conflict in his life, being pursued by Saul to be killed. But David said, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul makes its boast in the Lord. Let the humble hear and be glad. O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord, and he answered me, and delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him and delivers them. O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who takes refuge in him. So, my dear listeners, if you are going through a trying time, a dark time, the Lord does hear your cries. If you have suicidal thoughts, text 988 or call 988. Your mental health is precious to the Lord. Do not delay to call out to the Lord. Do not delay to ask for help, for you are worthy of rescue and you are pursued by God.